that feel impossible to justify. Not fantasy, not coincidence, but subtle entanglements across time, echoes moving in both directions, signals from outcomes not yet realized, rewriting the context of what came before. And if this sounds like science fiction, remember, the delayed choice experiment is not a theory. It's an observation, repeatable, measurable, real. The photon behaves retroactively based on a future choice. The universe answers questions before they're asked, and if a single particle can rewrite its past to match a future decision, then perhaps so can you. Let this truth change the way you see your story. The moments you regret may not be as fixed as you think. The traumas, the mistakes, the silences, they might still be open, still waiting for a different context to collapse into, still capable of becoming something new under the light of a present intention. Maybe healing is not rewriting the story, but observing it differently, choosing to measure it in a way that changes its form. Just like the photon. Just like time. Maybe the past isn't the prison you assumed. It's the raw material of meaning, sculpted not by what happened, but by what you choose to make of it now. And maybe, in some quiet, impossible way, the universe is always waiting for you to choose. Not just what will happen, but what already has. Observing something changes its reality. You walk into a room full of mirrors, but none of them reflect you back until you make a move. You raise your hand, and only then does the image respond. You tilt your head, and the mirror scrambles, reconfigures, recalculates before offering a version of you that wasn't there a moment ago. Now imagine that the world itself behaves like that mirror, not passively reflecting, but actively composing itself in reaction to your attention. This is the haunting elegance of the observer effect. The idea that the simple act of watching something, of focusing your awareness upon it, fundamentally changes what it is. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but physically, tangibly, empirically. In the realm of quantum mechanics, particles don't merely sit around waiting to be seen. They are unsettled by your curiosity, reshaped by your gaze. They live in a haze of probabilistic possibilities until your measurement pins them down into a single outcome, collapsing their ambiguity into a precise state. But the true disruption runs deeper than physics textbooks let on. Because this isn't just about electrons in a lab. This is about you, your relationships, your choices, your identity. This is about how everything you observe, people, events, memories, bears the fingerprints of your perception. The observer effect isn't some obscure feature of subatomic weirdness. It's a mirror held up to the nature of awareness itself. And once you see it, once you understand that observation is not innocent, but interventionist, you begin to realize you've never seen the world as it is, only as it becomes in response to you. In classical physics, reality is assumed to be independent of the observer. The moon is in the sky, whether or not you glance up to see it. A tree falls in the forest and makes a sound, regardless of whether anyone is listening. But the quantum world rebels against that certainty. In it, particles exist not as fixed entities, but as a field of probabilities. They occupy multiple states at once, until observed. Then, and only then, does the particle choose a state, collapsing from superposition into a measurable result. The experiment that revealed this, the famous double-slit experiment, is one of the most elegant and disturbing in all of science. Fire particles, one at a time, at a barrier with two slits, and you get an interference pattern on the screen behind, a signature of wave-like behavior. It's as if the particle went through both slits at once, but install a detector to observe which slit the particle passes through, and the interference vanishes. The pattern changes. The particle decides to go through one slit. The wave collapses into a dot. The act of observing, not touching, not disturbing, merely knowing, alters the outcome. This is not theoretical. This is repeatable, measurable, and deeply unsettling. The particle seems to behave differently based on whether or not someone is watching, as if the universe is reluctant to define itself until you ask. as if the answer only exists once the question is posed. But if matter itself waits for your observation to make a decision, what does that say about the rest of your life? About your relationships, your fears, your memories? Think of the times you've watched someone across a crowded room and seen them transform under your gaze. The way a friend speaks more carefully when they know you're listening. The way your own posture shifts when you catch your reflection. Observation is not neutral. It is catalytic, and you feel it in your bones. You've walked into rooms where you were watched and felt your skin bristle with hyper-awareness. You've been in conversations where the act of being seen made you more articulate or more performative. This is not psychology alone. This is physics leaking into the soul. Because you're not just changing your behavior when observed, you're participating in a loop that changes what's real. That version of you under scrutiny is not the same as the one in solitude. Just like the particle, you collapse into a specific self the moment attention is applied. And this collapse is not a distortion. It is your most real state in that moment. The observer calls forth the observed. The mirror doesn't just reflect. It generates. Now consider this on the level of memory. When you recall a moment from your past, you don't retrieve it like a file. You recreate it. You reconstruct it through the lens of who you are now, from the vantage point of your present awareness. Neuroscience shows us that memories are not stable. They are rewritten each time they're recalled. But what if that's more than a brain quirk? What if it's a manifestation of the observer effect in consciousness? Each time you revisit a memory, you're not just re-experiencing it, you're changing it, reformatting it. The past does not lie dormant. It flutters in a state of quantum ambiguity until you observe it again and lock it into new form. You are the observer collapsing your own timeline into narrative coherence. You are not just living your story, you are authoring its previous chapters in real time. And this isn't just about nostalgia, it's about trauma, about healing, about meaning. Because it suggests that nothing in your past is unchangeable, that every event, every regret, every wound still